What the freak?
Hi guys, and welcome back. Today I'm going to talk about how Lori Harvey dates. Initially I was going to name the video How to Date Like Lori Harvey, but I'm thinking it'd be better to just name it How Lori Harvey Dates and let you take away from that what you will. So first of all, we need to acknowledge that she definitely learned the game from her dear mama, Marjorie Harvey. So I did the research for you guys so you don't have to. I went on the internet and I watched the videos about what Marjorie Harvey says about dating, since she obviously taught Lori the game. So I took notes and I put them all together for you guys. So I hope you like it. Tell me what you think. Let's get started. Number one, she's beautiful. She always looks put together. She doesn't ever look like she just ran out of the house like a mess. She always looks well groomed. Now, when it comes to that, I've seen people on the internet say things like, well, of course it's easy for her to be beautiful. She's light skinned and she has straighter hair. While that may be to some degree true, don't use that as an excuse. Find what works for you. Find what makes you beautiful, whether it be a weave, a little bit of makeup, you know what I mean? When she's dressed down, even if she's wearing sweatpants and sneakers and a hoodie, it's a fit, you know what I mean? And it fits her well and it looks trendy, and her hair has that messy, effortless but still combed, kempt way, you know. And there's a signature bag, and when I say signature bag, it doesn't have to be luxury brand. Try to stay away from finding excuses for why you can't be beautiful, whether it be dark skin, too fat, whatever comes to your mind as an excuse for why it's easy for her to be beautiful and not you. Think of a way that you can find something that works for you in regards to what is beautiful or considered beautiful about Lori. Even when she's dressed down, there's something about it that doesn't look raggedy, whether it's accessories like some cute hoop earring or a purse or some trendy sneakers. You can go to Forever 21, you can go to Charlotte Russe, you can go to a cheaper store because those and find something similar to what she's wearing, because that's fast fashion. They're constantly making things that are inspired by the expensive pieces that the celebrities are wearing. Also, Lori works out. Marjorie works out. She takes care of her physical appearance. So try not to look at people, and we're not talking about people, we're talking about Lori. So try not to look at Lori and think, oh, she has a flat stomach, blah, 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 blah. If you think that men like her because she has a flat stomach and you don't, but you're not working to achieve a flat stomach, then you don't want a flat stomach. And then maybe you don't want to date like Lori Harvey. that might sound a little extreme, but if you're not working towards what it is you claim that you want, then maybe you don't want it. And and I mean that if you're able to. If you have an hour to watch TV, you have an hour to take a lap around the block. If you have an hour to get on Instagram and look at what Lori Harvey's doing, you have an hour to do some squats and some crunches and some sit-ups. Or shoot, look up what the affordable version of what she's wearing is at Forever 21 or wherever it is that is affordable for you to shop. Nordstrom. And also, in the line of her being beautiful, she looks like something to maintain. She looks like she's doing it for herself. So she looks like there's a level of luxury, so to speak, that she's accustomed to, which sends the message to men that they need to provide that. And obviously I'm not talking about men who want to convince you to settle for less and convince you that you want too much and blah blah blah. If those are the kind of men you like to date, click off of this video right now, because I am not talking to you. If you let men convince you that you want too much and you don't actually want too much, you know, this video is not for you. She sends the message to men that she's accustomed to a certain level of luxury, and they assume that they need to provide that. So she doesn't even need to ask for the things that she wants from these men, presumably. But for example, if a guy wants to take her out on a date and he asks her where she wants to go eat for dinner, if she says something like Katana or Nobu or Maestro's, he's not gonna think twice about it because she looks like that's what she's accustomed to. If you look like a Raggedy Ann talking about you want to go eat dinner at Nobu, the young man that you're involving yourself with may be like, well, what the heck she talking about? She don't know nothing about no Nobu. He may not even want to take you to the Cheesecake Factory. And if you think that that's shallow, again, this video is not for you. So that's number one. She's beautiful. In watching videos about Steve and Marjorie talking about how they met, he met her at a comedy show he was doing. She walked in with her friend. He stopped the show and just stared at her. And he said when he saw her, I never seen anybody who looked like that before. As in, he'd never seen someone that he thought was so beautiful before. Stop these men in their tracks. He never seen nobody who looked like that before. Hello. Baby, you never seen this. She's beautiful. Be beautiful. Number two, she knows when to leave. I was watching a segment from Steve Harvey's talk show where he was talking about dating like he does. And Marjorie was telling the story about how when her and Steve began to date prior to their marriage, he thought she was gonna be one of many. Like, obviously he really liked her, but he thought that he was gonna continue to talk to her and lots of other women. And one night she was spending the night at his place and he thought she was sleeping. She'd fallen asleep on the couch, I think she said. And it was like 3 o'clock in the morning. He thought she'd been sleeping. She heard him on the phone cupcaking with another woman, and he fell asleep. And in the middle of the night, he heard her rolling her stuff down the hall towards the door. And apparently she said to him, call me when you're ready for something serious, then we can try this again, if I'm still available. And what did he do? He took that phone he was talking on to that other woman, because they were using flip phones at the time, and broke it in half. And I think he said he got a new number and he ain't talked to another woman since that day. And on another segment of the show, a woman in the crowd asked Steve how she could make a man commit. If you got excited thinking I was about to drop the golden gem on what Steve said it takes to make a man commit, I won't be doing that, because, well, I will be dropping the golden gem, but it wasn't about how to make a man commit. What he said was, you cannot make a man commit, but you can make it a requirement. Meaning that if you're dating a man who does not want to commit, you need to leave. And you need to not be afraid to leave, because it is a requirement that a man commits to date you. Why are you making exceptions for him and afraid to lose him when he apparently is not afraid to lose you? Steve says you need to be willing to leave if he's not willing to be the man that you need him to be. Whatever you are dealing with him right now, do you want more of that? If you've been dating him for 2 years, stressed because he's dealing with other women and refuses to make you his girlfriend, you want 2 more years of that? Which leads to our next point, which continues to come up in my relationship videos. Number 3, setting standards. She sets standards. According to Marjorie, you need to know what you want. She says, you get to decide what you want for your life. It is okay for you to have requirements. There was a woman in the crowd who asked Marjorie essentially how she could get her boyfriend to marry her. She'd been dating the man for 10, maybe 15 years. And Marjorie simply said, he hasn't done it yet because you haven't made it a requirement. Because if you made it a requirement and he loves you, I'm gonna say that again, and he loves you, he will marry you. And of course, that can be applied to other things. If he hasn't stopped entertaining other women, it's because you haven't made it a requirement that he not do those things. Because if you made it a requirement, and again, he loves you, he would stop doing it. So you fill in the blank. Whatever it is you're asking your guy to do, your lover, if you make it a requirement and he loves you, he will do it. Now, please know that I'm not speaking about the extreme. If you make it a requirement that he buys you a Louis Vuitton bag and he loves you, he'll buy it. No, use your sense. That's not what I mean. We're talking about common things that women typically ask of their men in regards to other women, in regards to commitment and such things like that. Marjorie says, be sure of who you are and what you want. If you need to write it down, who are you? Because maybe you don't know who you are. And that's not anything to feel shame about. Lots of people don't know who they are. So take some time to journal and figure out who you are, and also figure out what you want. What are your requirements? And Steve says they do it that way because you allow it. So what your guy, or what the guys you date or involve yourself with do is what you allow. So don't be so afraid that a guy is gonna stop talking to you if you ask for too much. You're not asking for too much. That's a direct quote from Steve. You're not asking for too much. If he's not treating you how you want to be treated, it's okay to get out of there. Do you want more of that? No. Okay. And also a tidbit from me, I'm gonna insert in here, just in line with what they've been saying. You may not be asking for enough. Sometimes a guy may not be respecting you because he doesn't think that you value yourself because you haven't asked for what he thinks that a woman should ask for. And I'm going to use this example. This is not in regards to dating, but I think it can apply. Some of you guys may know I make clothes. A friend of mine needed to borrow my sewing machine one day. So she said that in exchange for me letting her borrow the sewing machine, she would treat me to dinner. So I'm on my way to her house to pick up the sewing machine when she's done using it. And in my mind, I'm thinking we can just go to In-N-Out. However, I show up and she asked me what I was thinking about for what I wanted to eat. And before I answer, she asked me what I think about Bossa Nova. If you're from LA, you know, Bossa Nova is kind of like Cheesecake Factory. But my point is that it is a couple levels above In-N-Out. So if I would have said I wanted In-N-Out, she would have bought In-N-Out. And in her mind, if she was thinking Bossa Nova but didn't say it, it would compute in her mind, oh, I was gonna take her to Bossa Nova, but she said all she wants is In-N-Out. that means I don't even have to put forth much effort. That's it. That's all she wants. And the flip side of that you can take into consideration is the role I played in that. All I was expecting was in and out, but she offered more. She offered bossa nova. So I didn't dispute it. I want the bossa nova now, since you mentioned it. So that also goes to show you that when it comes to men, they can view you in two ways. They can view you up here, but then all you're requiring is down here, and they're like, oh well, shoot, guess not, baby. That's all you want, no problem. Or they can be expecting this from you, and you're trying so hard to appease them and offering this. They're like, oh well, all I wanted was this, but hey, if you offering steak, if all I wanted was a cup of noodles, but if you offering steak, why not? So set standards was the point of all that. Number 4, she's loved, admired, and respected by the people around her friends and family. That is who I'm referring to. So she dates men who in a way sort of look up to her because she's so loved. I was watching I think it was her story, Lori's story from her birthday, and you could just see the love in the room. It's very clear that the people who surround her friends and family, just love and adore her. I mentioned this in my video about why she always has a boyfriend and you may not. Women who are loved and adored by the people around them, it does something to men. Men really like that. It makes them feel like their lady is cool. And who doesn't feel cool if they feel like their lover is cool? I don't really know if that's something you can control. Like, it's a personality thing. I don't know. But she's loved by the people around her. So that causes men to respect her and think that she's cool. Also, her being loved and admired by the people around her, I don't know if that has a direct correlation with how she feels about herself, but I think she probably feels pretty good about herself. And this part I don't know for sure, but I don't think it's likely that she is very overtly trying to impress the men that she dates. I think she just dates. I mean, obviously you want to impress the guys that you date, but I don't think she is overtly trying to impress them, like, look at me, like me. One of my favorite stories when I was little was the story of the day that the sun and the wind made a bet on who could make the guy walking by take off his coat first. The wind thought surely he would win. And of course, the sun thought he would win. So the sun told the wind, since he was so confident he could go first. And the wind thought, no big deal. I can make this guy take off his coat. So he starts blowing. He thinks his wind can blow the coat off of the guy. And when he's doing that, all the guy does is clutch his coat tighter. He's not letting that coat go. Now it's the sun's time. What does the sun do? Just shine bright, beaming. Whew, it's starting to get a little hot in here. That's what the guy in the coat was thinking. Whoop, he takes off that coat. He takes off the coat. Don't be the wind overtly trying desperately to make men do something, trying desperately to make men be the man you want him to be. Just be like the sun, just beam. I said just be, but just beam. And again, going back to number 2 or number 3, if you make it a requirement and he loves you, he will. And if he doesn't, you didn't want him anyway. Moving on. Number 5, she's personable. She has a personality. Now, while we cannot see that from her Instagram and in her interviews, in this one, I guess I'm speaking more about Marjorie because I've been able to see her personality in the videos from when she would visit Steve's show. And basically what I've seen is she has a sense of humor. She's able to make fun of herself and laugh. And one thing I feel like I've noticed about women is they don't really like to make jokes. They don't really like to make fun of themselves. They just want to be perfect and pretty and proper. And that's boring. Obviously, you want to be pretty. That's not boring. But perfect and proper and not stepping out of line to make a dude not want you anymore. Marjorie Harvey ain't doing that, baby. And I don't think LORI Harvey is either. So since this video is about how they date, maybe you can write that down. Also, she's well-spoken. I'm talking about Marjorie Harvey. She's well-spoken. She's intelligent, but not overbearingly so. She's not trying to force her intelligence in your face and shove it in your face like, look at me, I'm so smart. Again, she's like the sun. She's just being. She's just beaming. I feel so clever about that. Also, from the conversations her and Steve have shared on his show, it's clear that she added value to his life, to his world. She encouraged him to dress a bit more, as he would describe, tastefully. She encouraged him to travel and enjoy himself and not be down on himself or hard on himself. So she's encouraging to him in a realistic way, because I don't want those of you who are so encouraging to your men that you neglect your own feelings to think, but I'm encouraging to my man. Stop. She's encouraging to him. She does not coddle him. And one more thing, guys. They are confident. Marjorie and LORI Harvey are confident. And I say that to say that one more thing Steve said was that when he met Marjorie, she was happy. He said she was already happy on her own. And he didn't feel like it was his job to make her happy the way he'd felt in his past relationships, that it had been his job. She was already happy and she wasn't requiring him to make her happy. Okay, so that's it for the 5 reasons on how LORI Harvey dates. Now I'm just going to do a quick 5 important things to keep in mind from Steve and Marjorie Harvey. I'm going to read from my notes. Number 1. You gotta have some type of requirements and standards. You can't be convenient and special at the same time. You want to create the persona that you're special. You gotta be a little mysterious. Number 2, you shouldn't exist in a relationship without knowing what the relationship is. It's not needy to ask for a relationship. It's not needy to ask what the relationship is. You have every right to know what's going on in your life. You can say something along the lines of, if you want this to continue, I need, and then say what you need. Well, this is actually a quote that he said to a woman in the audience. He said, you're afraid that you're disposable to him. And why would you want to date someone who you're disposable to? Number 3, what do you want in a man emotionally? Does he do what he says he's going to do? Frequently, not just once. And the direct quote from him is, there are a lot of trifling men that exhibit the traits you may claim you want in a man, like a nice car, handsome, good job, that are still trifling. So look deeper than that. Perhaps you want those things, but in addition, you want him to be emotionally stable. You want him to treat his family well. You want him to treat you well. Number 4, ask him his views on various types of relationships: romantic relationships, friendly relationships, familial relationships, and ask him what he thinks about you and also what he feels for you. And according to Steve, those two answers should be very different. What he feels for you should be very different than what he thinks about you. And last but certainly not least, number 5, Marjorie says once you get it wrong, you learn from it. Then you apply what you learn and move on. So pay attention to your relationships that didn't work out, learn from them, apply what you learned moving forward, and move on. Thank you guys for tuning in. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Please comment down below what you thought of this video. Did you agree? Did you disagree? Were there some things that you want clarification on? Comment. Tell me what you think. Thanks again for tuning in. Subscribe. Check out some of my other videos. All right.